Guro Jee Choi of Floro Fighting Systems. So today I want to share something with you guys. For those of you who's been in the profession long enough, you guys probably remember Mike Sastry and Sheaths. Sadly, Mike passed away, and condolences to his family. I just recently heard about this since we had a falling out after a couple order misses. Just leave it at that in the past. So it's been over a decade plus since I actually last talked to Mike. And recently I heard from a friend that he has passed, and well, that was that. And as we all know, Mr. Bagwell passed too. And it's both those just recent events led me to do some lot of thought processing and thinking. And while doing that, and with the recent project, that one of them was going to be used in the project, but sadly, due to the requirements criteria for that particular project for what I was working on, this was not applicable. So after that whole fiasco, as those of you on my Facebook know, I did quite a bit of soul searching and working to figure out what's the best way to put this to use, and I ended up creating this here, which is the Southern Comfort sheath that Mike was known best for. Going long story short, what ended up happening between that incident was I need a couple knife for the draw point system that my teacher, Master James Keating, shout out to Uncle Jim, that he teaches. So I had a students back then that needed some draw point sheath, and Uncle Jim recommended Mike, and we contacted him and sent him the knives. It was supposed to only take 3 weeks. That ended up being 3 months with no words. So when I contacted Mike again, Mike gave me a lot of different excuses, and we ended up where we got one knife with the sheath done, 2 knives back with no sheath. But because he was part of the circle, I decided to just, fuck it. It's like I really abused my students, and I pretty much dealt with it back then. Fast forward about a year or two later, Mike was having a sale on the Ontario bagwells that he sheathed in his Southern Comfort system, and I contacted him, and he was nice enough to give me a deal on both of them. So one of them belongs to one of my brother, the other one belongs to one of the ladies that managed to get it off me when I posted that for sale on eBay about a year or two later after that incident. So afterwards, that was it. That was my last dealing with Mike Sastry, and there was, those of you who know, there was quite a event that happened shortly after that, and we'll not go into that because it is ill to speak. It is ill to speak of the dead in an ill manner. So we'll leave it at that. But I learned mostly from, I'm one of those people who learn by simply just handling whatever is in question. So I had a chance to play around with quite a bit of the Ontario House Bell and also the Fortress with Mike's Southern Comfort system. And so I knew how they felt, I know how they're supposed to move and work. Concealed, like you guys didn't know that I had this in here. If it's in like this, it literally hides the blade, so it's very difficult to notice unless you know what you're looking for. And at the same time, deployment-wise, it is very fast. So that's how that is. Mr. Bagwell, rest his soul, he often said that the only way to carry a Bowie knife is with a stud, and very much true on that, especially if you look at it in the past, America in the past, especially riding the horses. If you stick it in the belt like so and have that stud catch onto the belt loop, it is very easy to draw, and there you go. So that's how that system works in those days. It's very easy to carry, and if you do what Uncle Jim did once, one of the things that Uncle Jim showed me was like, you stick it like this, totally concealed. You can walk around it, and when you do need it, you simply grip it out, and there you have it. So there's many ways to deploy this and carry. I'm not a big fan of the back of the hip or the small of the back, but one of the things that Uncle Jim often said also was to pull the buoy and a sheath out, so you could use this to as an impact device using the stud. So there's that method too. Many different ways to do it. How this whole steel Trailmaster came to be, as I just said at the beginning of this, is that this was a mistake. The project required a stag or wooden handle buoy, and well, there was a lot of apologies from the team. So I guess I could say this: everybody, after handling and like several different cold steel buoys, they thought this would be best for the project. Sadly, these don't come with a wooden handle, not that I know of, unless you get it customized. And as for stag handle, there was one, but I don't think that's in production either at this time. So, whole steel Trailmaster. This one I have right now is SK5 steel. I just removed the finish just because Chan, shout out to Chan on my Facebook, he asked me a question regarding this. It's like, so does this does better with the aerodynamics? I'm not quite sure about the aerodynamics part, but it does. It is make it slightly more balanced, better than it originally when it comes from the factory, because whether you know it or not, that epoxy powder coating actually does take off quite, and once you remove it all, it does take quite a bit of the odd feeling balance off it slightly. So this is very blade heavy, but because of that, it does make it a whole lot more easy to maneuver. And I actually have quite a big, I actually like this. I haven't handled a Trailmaster here in a long time, so having one in the house again, it's really a delight. And I took all the coatings off that as best as I could because I fucked up sprained my thumb, so I'm kind of working on a slight disable manner, but this turned out pretty decently. Why Bowie knives? As like when it comes to certain projects that I'm working on right now, is Bowie knife is, when you say America, I think Bowie knife, apple pie, and tomahawk. Yeah, my brain works weird, and F-150 and things like that. So, and obviously guns, boomsticks, but sadly I won't mention that too much here because it's YouTube and they don't like me talking about guns. But this particular thing right here, even Trailmaster, it's not a big knife. As you guys just saw how I could easily conceal this and deploy this at will, but it is still a good enough blade and long enough blade that I could do dos manos with if I need to, and at the same time it is perfect for engaños. I could deflect with this, and I could do pretty much everything that I need to do with foregrip, FFS machete, and obviously essential Calizo Lustrissimo. Everything just for me, this is just fine with it. I absolutely love this. It's been a long time since I actually handled one. I was thinking about getting this edged again with Daniel soon, so I will probably do that in a short time. Reason for the oil, one of the hard lessons in the past with certain cold steel, carbon steel blades is that we used it, I think it was when I first moved here, and I was just clearing out the backyard because it's just covered with like raspberry bushes and stuff like that. And afterwards, it wasn't any heavy use, so I didn't oil it. I just kind of left it as is. Biggest mistake, because when I removed it from the sheath, it was just rust and everything is just like So after that, one of the lessons that I learned was that when you use a cold steel, carbon steel stuff, you want to make sure, especially if it's exposed like this right now where I removed the coats, you want it oiled so it doesn't do that. And especially since I live in Pacific Northwest, moisture and other things cause corrosions like you wouldn't believe. So there you go, guys. So this is a tribute to Mike Sastry. So I don't, regardless of what he has done later to wrong some of us, and trust me, I've been wrong on that front too. You have to give thanks to Mike because he did create this system. And even Mr. Bagwell, when I was conversing with him, he said, you know what, I do like Sastry's Southern Comfort sheath system because it is thinner in profile, thus making it easier for carry, especially for discreet carry. So, rest of both gentlemen's souls, they were the pioneers in this profession.